Andrew Sserunjogi.
Andrew Sserunjogi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for accepting our invite. Usually, the reason we tell people why we are doing this is it's important. So sometimes we bring people who we think are prominent in the country. Sometimes we bring people no one has ever heard of. Sometimes we bring people because they are friends. But the idea for us, and I think the idea behind the name is, if you and I, just ordinary Ugandans, ordinary human beings, basically.
Like it is ordinary people.
Yeah, ordinary people. Come and have a conversation that has some depth. That conversation, we put it on the internet, it's going to live forever. Hopefully, someone doesn't crash the internet in the future. Right? It's going to live forever. In the future, after people have listened, in the future, people are going to be analyzing some of the stuff Elon Musk is saying, for example, some of the stuff Bill Gates is saying. At some point, that will sound cliche because it's what everyone has studied and it's what everyone knows. Yeah. People will fall back to conversations like this, conversations of very little known people who had like original ideas or who had like interesting things to say in that time. And that is, I think, sort of the value you are going to transfer to the future.
It is a good thing.
Yeah. Welcome. You are in construction.
Yeah.
And I saw we left university at around the same time. So that if I start doing my math, I was just preparing for this conversation. I did a little bit of research about it.
Okay.
So, just doing a little bit of math, figuring you've spent some time within the industry. So tell me a little bit about what you do.
I don't know where to start. Introduce myself?
Yeah, you can. It's a very free form conversation.
I'm Andrew Sserunjogi, born and raised in Tinda. I had my bachelor's at Makerere in construction management. The discipline has failed maybe to grasp a few. Maybe the professors don't market it so well. The professors that teach it, but it is a very good area to venture in for the students that who really want to do construction, because people might fail to be civil engineers, others fail to be quantity surveyors, others fail to be land surveyors. So it's not the end of the world. Because personally...
So, just to cut you short, it's not an engineering course?
It is an engineering course.
Okay.
It is, let's say you have a site, a very big project, roads, any house, even if it's a small thing.
A storage building, for example,
Every business needs management.
Of course,
And you cannot manage something without studying the background of that something. So engineering also needs management. That's why sometimes in our country we have projects that are stalling for long. They say now like the Equity House, it is stalling for long. Why? Because it faced inflation, the Northern Bypass. It has been redesigned again and again and again. And also maybe there are other cases, other scenarios, say political. Some roads are constructed, not with a better physical or feasibility study, but because of politics. But back to the point, yes, we need construction managers on site. We need these people. Why? Projects have to move in regards to cost, in regards to quality, and also in regards to time. Yes, civil engineers have studied a bit of construction management, but now they are doing it at a master's level. Because in Makerere, it was a bachelor's degree, but now it was dissolved, and it's not being done at a master's level.
Oh, construction engineering?
Construction management.
Construction management, rather.
Yes.
It's now a master's.
It is now at a master's level, but I studied it at a degree. At the bachelor's, yes. But now, when you're in the industry, you find yourself doing literally close to the same work, but you're not supposed to do close to the same work.
As civil engineers?
As civil engineers. But I can design.
I thought that was work for architects.
Yes. Architects design. But when you talk about the discipline of architecture, it is also another part. Well, architecture is about art.
Yeah, first differentiate this for me. Let me first give you a scenario.
Yes.
I've personally built a house. Initially I wanted that to be my home. But what I did is I Googled plans and got plans on the internet. Because I'm a bit computer savvy, I stole those plans. Then I gave them to a civil engineer, someone with an engineering degree. He looked through the plans. He went and saw the place. He helped me pursue the approvals. So I built in Mukono jurisdiction. So he went to the council in Mukono and got the paperwork I need to start building, right? After that point, he was too expensive for me. So we dealt with the foreman and we bypassed him. And then the foreman took on the management of the building, right? So yeah. I want you to first differentiate for me those roles, right? The architect's role, that kind of civil engineer's role, because I'm now imagining, that's where you also would fall. The construction manager's role, and now the foreman, or the guy who's like the leader on the site.
I'm going to talk on a small scale project and then the big projects. The small scale project, you might need an architect, a civil engineer, a construction manager, quantity surveyor, a land surveyor.
Okay.
Those 6 people are very, very important.
Okay.
For our normal ordinary person, housing. But then the civil engineers also have other disciplines. There is water, and then there is the structure engineer, and then and also structure engineers. So also there are some that major in houses, and then those that major in roads. Okay, I see. But now we're talking of houses. Okay, so we need a structure engineer. Now for a bungalow house, you don't need a structure engineer. Because the structure engineer, what is he going to design? Unless when your land is in
it's a very like a hilly thing that's complex.
Hilly or swamp that you need a specific type of foundation.
I see.
Okay. Yeah. So a structural engineer is normally going to design this to look at soil. Can it bear the weight of the structure you're going to put on the ground? Okay.
Yeah.
And then also to advise on the structural ability of the structure. Is it going to stand in the way it is designed by the architect? So the architect designs, but the architect will design on how the building is going to look like. That's why we have fancy 3Ds. That's why these days we have even animations.
Yeah.
But now when you come to let's say who I talked to the land surveyor.
Yeah, so you haven't yet described who it does, but you added him on the list of the 6 people you mentioned.
Yes. The land surveyor is the first person who does the work on the ground. First, they will come and open up your boundary of that. The piece of land where that structure is going to sit.
Yeah.
When they open up, they will tell you, okay, this land is measured this and this, it is this decimals. Because it is what the architect is going to use when designing.
Okay. So the initial person to reach out to is basically the land surveyor.
Is the land surveyor. Because the land surveyor will give you the contours of the land.
Yeah.
And the architect has to use those same contours to design for you the landscape of your project.
I see. Yeah.
Okay? Then, after the land surveyor, then the architect designs. Then the architect will also work in hand with the structural engineer to come up with a project that is suitable for your house. Because the architect will design, it can be a house in form of a bowl, it can be a house in form of whatever. But then the structural engineer has to design something that stands, that, okay, if I do my structures properly, if I design my beams, my columns, I have to put all the struts and ties so that that structure can stand on the ground. Okay,
so basically the architect here is thinking of what this looks like aesthetically, right? Saying, this thing will look pretty like this. And then the structure engineer comes in to say, okay, so this is pretty like this, but the beam has to be at this angle for it to survive, basically. Okay, now I see the difference,
So now where does the construction manager come in? So the manager is going to come in to manage the whole project, or the overseer of the whole project. Some clients come to us or to, let's say, a civil engineer. Then they tell you, I want to build my house here and here, blah, 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 blah. Civil engineers, because they know, you see, it is, can I say, like, the primary of, it's like a mother of most of these courses that we are doing.
Yeah. Okay. It's the sort of the best course.
Yeah, it's sort of a best course. So most people they will say, I want an engineer, because in Uganda, we've had that kind of market positioning in most of these products. Some people are at Shell and then they tell you, I'm at a petrol station. But seriously, they refer to Shell.
Yeah. Or they're at a petrol station and then
I'm buying Dedident. Instead, they are buying Colgate.
Yeah, I see.
But it is toothpaste. So in Uganda, we have that kind of the construction industry is okay. It's coming away from the embryo stage and going to another stage. People now understand a bit of. So they'll come and tell you, I need a civil engineer, and yes, they refer to a civil engineer. Okay, but some people take advantage. You're an architect, but then you act as a civil engineer, which is not right. You're a construction manager, and then you act as a civil engineer. Okay, yeah. So the whole project comes from the client. You tell me, what do you want? I conceptualize it. In other words, I'm now the architect. Okay. I, the construction manager, can help the client find an architect.
I see. Okay, so that's what I was wondering, because now it seems like it's more of a management role.
It is a management role. If the client doesn't know an appropriate architect for that particular project, I'll find that architect. Okay. Also, I'll find the civil engineer. I can also help you find the land surveyor. You understand? I'm managing all those three people at once. But again, I'm a project manager, because even when you go to these boards that you saw on sites, somewhere there's project manager, because now World Bank asks for those people. You must have a social person, someone in charge of electrical, someone in charge of. You understand?
Yeah.
So if you look at those signposts, some people ignore, but they are there. Project managers. That person is the overhead of all these people. Because one, you cannot, sometimes even a project manager can be a lawyer. But then we go from that bit of that discipline of, okay, I'm the project manager, I'm the overseer of all this. Everyone reports to me. You can be a businessman, everyone reports to you.
Yeah.
Okay? But in actual sense, my construction management is going to work on site. Some work as clerk of works for architect. Some work as clerk of works for engineers, civil engineers. Okay.
So in my field, for example, I'm a software engineer.
Okay.
That's what I do. In my field, you can also get in a situation like that. But for us, we can. I'm saying for us, but in some of the projects I've worked on, there's a way they divide that role for project manager, right? So you can have like a technical project manager who works with the actual technical team, and then you have like a business project manager who handles the business side, works with the client, manages the budgets and costs, and tries to understand, what is feasible for the client, communicates with the technical project manager, and then this project manager comes to work with the team and tell them, and sort of understand also what's feasible, if you want a phone that picks up itself, for example, the engineers can tell you, okay, we don't have the technology to do that. And then it's amongst those two managers to sort of make that compromise, see what can the engineers do versus what does the what can we deliver to the client basically. Is that also similar to construction, in construction?
Yeah, I would say yes. Very well, because management is different. Like what we learn.
Yeah.
Planning, organization, controlling, and okay. But it is at different stages. Even architects have project managers in their own firms.
Yeah.
Okay? Because let us look at a building like, what's the new building now in Uganda that is under construction? The NSSF Tower. See? It is a huge project. Definitely you will need a construction manager. You may not be even one. Assistant. Okay? But even architects, one would be doing interior designs, another person will be doing the exterior, another person will be handling the landscape, another person will be handling the circulation, air, light, like that. And then all those minds sit together to come up with that project. But then there was a project head of designing that. Okay? But then contracts for government change. The whole system changes. Why? Because a client is going to need their own consultancy team. And then the contractor will need their own consultancy team. You understand? Because in government employs the contractor. But the government, remember, has civil engineers, has land surveyors, has quantity surveyors, has architects. But would you say a government personnel coming to construct a road? No, it is the it is the contractors.
The contractor people, yeah.
Now they'll have this. The government will employ a consultancy team. That consultancy team are now the project managers of this project. So they will supervise what the contractors are doing.
I see.
You now understand?
Yeah.
So where does the construction manager come in? I have to manage all this business that is going on. Most cases, I'm on the side of the consultancy team because I'll be on site. If, say, we have a stretch of a road from maybe Chisasi to Chanja, and then we mark out our critical path, we mark out what critical areas should we start with, things like that. So I have to look at all the time. I have to be looking at the project plan to make sure that thing goes in time. Yes. And I'm looking at also the cost. Anything that concerns testing material, I have to know. I have to write a report, submit it to my bosses, like that. Okay. So I am managing whatever is happening on ground. Okay? Yeah. But again, when you come back to my ordinary person, you're not going to tell me that a person like you're going to employ a consultancy team, and then and then you have a contractor.
Yeah.
For the private sector, it is different because after graduation, that was in 2014, but I started my work in 2013. You know, when you're off campus, you've done your exams, that period.
Yeah.
Up to now, I think those are like now, how many years? 2014, 2000.
Yeah, about 8 years now.
Yeah, about 8 years now. So that whole experience, I've not been employed. I've actually never been employed.
Okay.
I find you, do for your project, design your house, do for you bills of quantities, or material schedule. Mostly private clients understand material schedules than a BOQ, because a BOQ is kind of complicated. We talk in terms of cubic meters, square meters, linear meters. So the terminologies in the BOQ may not be understandable for you.
What's the difference between those two?
A material schedule will tell you bags of cement to construct a column. If, say, we are going to cast 42 columns, I'll tell you that, okay, you need 50 bags or 60 bags, depending on the size of the column.
Yeah, I see.
And then I'll tell you, in that column, that one column, you'll need maybe 6 steel bars, T10, T16, T12, like that. Okay? And then I'll tell you, you'll need this much of tons of sand and this much of tons of aggregate. You get it? But a BOQ is going to tell you, if a column is this height, they'll calculate the volume. Its cubic meters is, say, 20 cubic meters.
I see. So
and then I'll give you a rate.
I see, yeah.
Every cubic meter, I charge you 550 per cubic meter.
So basically, the difference is in the language.
The difference is...
Because you were saying,
the difference is the language system. The difference
is one is using
how you present. No, quantifying.
Okay.
The difference is quantification, because the BOQ is going to tell you in cubic meters. Let's say this area.
Yeah.
It is tiled. It has how many square meters? This is about 5 by 5. These are 25 square meters.
Okay.
Then I'll tell you, tiles, okay, my quotation is 170 per square meter.
Yeah.
That quotation has labor, transport, contingencies. That is a rate.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And the cost of material.
Yeah.
Then for material schedule, it's going to tell you, okay, we shall need, for 25 square meters, we shall need maybe 10 boxes of tiles.
100K for
3 bags of cement.
Yeah.
Like that. So that's a material schedule.
Okay, I see.
Yes. And then most cases also for private clients, the most cases they will not tell you, I want a BOQ. They'll tell you, I want a material schedule. Okay? Then they'll tell you, but I want to construct only the foundation. Okay? Tutandike mpola like that. And then move on. And then someone builds the house slowly. Okay? Some clients will come at a higher level. Say, I want an architect, I want an engineer, I want a construction manager, I want a quantity surveyor, all on site. Those people are there. Someone builds a house of about 1 billion. 1 billion. They give it to you and then you start.
I see.
You get it, eh? Yeah.
One of the other things in construction, and this is an issue I've also had a problem with, is stealing stuff.
Off site.
Yeah. So, okay, not like stealing stuff on site, but exaggerating, say, the quotations. So, yeah, for example, the guy who constructed my house, and I hope he's not listening to this podcast, used to give me a quotation, right? And I would have to take it to someone else. That's how much I did not trust him, right? I had to take it to like to employ an audit. But that's the thing is okay. So I didn't trust this other guy either. If he was the one actually getting the money, I just trusted him to audit for me. So we're friends enough so he can audit for make sure no one else is stealing from me. But I was sure if he was the one in the position of stealing, he would have been the one stealing. Right? So that's when it comes to construction. I'm not the only one. Most people worry about that a lot. Most people worry about that a lot. They say, these engineers are going to steal from me, these engineers are going to cheat me, things like that. So the question here is there a way to audit these things? So when it comes, for example, to my field, we call ourselves engineers as well. But when it comes to software, usually you can Google and find rates. So if you want an app, right? You come to me, you say, hey, I want an app that sends messages. Or I want an app to mobilize my circle, right? I give you a quotation, right? I also give you a reference. I tell you, these are the rates. And you can go to like websites, right? That show you, say, if you wanted to hire someone from Russia or whatever, how much they would charge, right? And so when you come to me, you have like an idea, how things are. But when it comes to construction, it's very hard because the guy can tell you what you've said, the schedule thing. You need 20 bags of cement to build a column. And you just have no way of knowing whether it will be 20 bags of cement or 15 bags of cement, for example.
No, that's where actually the purpose that we kind of solve. We kind of rubbish all that away, like theft or hiking prices or costs, because you will get someone energy worker can do at work. You tell me my land is in Muyenga, then I'm like, that guy is loaded.
Exactly.
Okay, so if a column is going to say 4 bags, I will put 8 bags. And then those guys in Muyenga also don't want to go downtown. So what I will do, I'll tell my guy at the hardware, you know what, I'll be getting 10 bags. I'll be writing 10 bags, but I pick 2 or I pick 8. So the theft starts from there. To iron that out as a client, get your foreman who's going to construct. Get a construction manager who's going to supervise that foreman for you. Because me, I know how to read plans. I can design plans. Okay, you get it, eh?
Yeah, but that doesn't solve the problem. That sort of moves the thief.
I'm coming to that. So then after you've ironed out that, you've employed this one and this one, then you, the guy buying cement, you're the financial, because you cannot be the financial and the engineer and the architect. So your only purpose is to make sure that I am on site. You pay me to be on site. You don't pay me and then I have to look for another site somewhere. Pay me to be on your site. Then after, go to the hardware with me, or even the foreman. Sign, or maybe you can open an account there. Put your money there. Say 100 bags of cement. Say 20 bags of steel. Anything. Then, when this guy comes, engineer, we need 3 bags. I have to sign in my book. He signs in his book. When we go to the hardware, you also have to check. Then I'll... The only thing that cuts away that thing of stealing material from site is bookkeeping. And bookkeeping is a challenge to so many Ugandans on site.
I see.
Bookkeeping, even in our small shops, they will tell you shops, bookkeeping is key.
Yeah, bookkeeping is
okay.
It's a hard
because even in these pharmacies, there is theft everywhere, but bookkeeping. So once you know that, okay, you have checked this guy of cross-checked, this guy of cross. Trust me, you will know
where the stealing is.
You will know where the stealing is coming from. So when they deliver on site, there is a store manager. And most cases, I'm in charge of the store manager, not the foreman. You understand? So the store manager, don't allow the store manager to work with the people on site. His role is just be on site, keep the material. He opens the store, the guys construct, close. He opens, construct, close. The other thing is, make sure your site is enclosed. I know we don't have money, but put a hoarding. A hoarding is the iron sheets that we put around. Some people even set with a fence. It can be temporary, but it's just a temporary structure around the site.
I see. So most of those iron sheets are put to prevent people from stealing.
Yes.
I used to think it was a requirement.
It is a requirement, one, because you're protecting the public from accessing site. Site is dangerous.
No, that's what I thought as well.
Site is dangerous.
Okay,
it is very, very wide because we have nails on site. We have timber falling. We have debris falling from above. We have so it is protecting one public from accessing site, but also you're making your builders concentrate on site because if these people don't concentrate, a woman be passing by, hey. Because these girls in camp actually keep on saying it on social media that if you want to know that you're cute and you're putting on well, pass
on the side.
Pass on the side. Or pass where border guys have packed. So it is about one, concentration, theft, and then it is
bookkeeping,
health and safety.
So so rather the bookkeeping part is the part I wanted to focus on, right? So bookkeeping is hard, again, because of the nature of humanity, right? Let me tell you how I thought I handled this thing. So the problem is you don't trust your foreman, right? The first thing I did also was to try the hardware thing. So I reach out to the hardware, I make a deal. I be like, give this man whatever he wants, report to me at the end of the day whenever he collects, and then I'll pay. So I told the foreman, just go and ask whatever you want. Let me know before you go and ask, right? So I thought at some point the foreman can ask for something else and the hardware will tell me something else. But then for a while, all the numbers were in synchronization, right? So the foreman tells me the same number as the hardware. Then I realized the deal is actually at what? The hardware. So the foreman has dealt with the people at the hardware, giving me receipts that are not valid, basically. Saying we've taken 10 bags, the guy took 10 bags of cement, yet actually the foreman took what? Say maybe 8. He took, maybe he stole like maybe 1 or 2 bags, basically. And then when I pay, he gives a commission to the hardware guy for being part of the deal.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And so the way, for me, I had to resolve this. Okay, I was building in an estate, so there were other people building. What happened is, I got in touch with the guy constructing the other house.
To tell you.
To come and audit for me. So when the guy requests stuff, the one day I told him, now I'm auditing you. When the guy requested for things, he went to the hardware guy called me, told me the exact number, then I told them give him. So when he took the cement to the site, then they sent me the receipt. I called him and told him, did you get everything? He's like, yeah. Then the guy went and counted, and the bags of cement were, I think, less by 3. So I came on the site later that evening and told him that I know that the bags you've delivered are not the number you told me. And we went on a back and forth until, because again he had done some of the work. Obviously the reputation for engineers is not very good. I didn't want to end his like contract. I wanted him to still finish. But I wanted him to know that now I know. Now I have an eye looking at you. So we came and argued. It's like, oh, it's a mistake. What? And then probably went and replaced those 3 bags, right?
Of course.
Yeah, but the thing is that is a very, very complicated thing, and you have to be very lucky to have that situation where you can audit like that, right?
It is complicated.
The alternative is you tell me, for example, I hire someone who doesn't come to the site, right? Who just basically knows construction, right? So you come and say, we need 10 bags of cement for the foundation. Then, someone like you maybe, you come and look at the foundation and say, this foundation takes 10 bags of cement. So then we say, okay, you give him 10 bags of cement, right? But still, even with that, the guy is going to tell you they were not enough. Yeah, and the reality is always more accurate than whatever you calculate.
Then we go back to the starting point of workmanship, design, what?
Yeah.
Because, you see, it happens actually. Construction is let's say, can I say, like, it's not surgery. I want to compare it to something. Because you can tell me, I can come to you and tell you that constructing a road, let me give you an example of a road. Let's say Northern Bypass, because it has taken long since 2007. Yeah. So a consultant will come and they do their design, basing on what the public wants, and what the government wants, and then also the nature of the site. But you can design let's say, the Rubiji swamp, because the bypass passes just next to the Rubiji swamp. And when you're designing, you're supposed to also look at, you're supposed to do soil tests, and then consider also environmental, and then rain, things of that nature. So after designing, you submit your plan. You know what? This plan is going to cost us, say, 14 billion. But then, in the long run, when the contractor comes to actually start executing the work, reaching Rubiji, the soils actually need you to excavate deeper and deeper and deeper. Now that's what we call a variation.
I see.
Inside.
Okay.
Now there is also a bill of quantity that is going to come for the guy who is financing the project.
Yeah.
That is a variation quote. You know what? When we were excavating and we found this area actually very soft, so we need to excavate more and more. Any square meter that you change in construction is going to also change the other. So it is recurring.
I see. Okay.
You get it? So I can decide, okay, let us paint this face of the house. But painting, you need to prepare a surface. After preparing the surface, then you bring that whiting. You kind of put. Then you tell the guy, how many jerrycans of undercoat do you want? I can tell you I need like 4. But undercoat is also part of preparing surfaces. So, guy starts painting the undercoat first. Then after painting, things have not disappeared so the way he wants. Like, you know what, boss? I need more jerrycans. Okay? But the wrong thing is, these guys, it now goes to what I've told you, workmanship. Most people that we use learn on site. They don't go for some bit of education. Sadolin was teaching. Is it Sadolin? Okay, now Plascon. They were teaching people how to paint. Many people got certificates. They're actually people that know these things very much better. But then we so much want to incline to people that are not going to that level of adding some certificate on what they know. So we incline on the guy who's cheaper. So the guy who's cheaper is going to come and tell you, we need 2 jerrycans of undercoat. Then you come and pay the guy, okay, 2. Then you pay it. Boss, we might need another 2. Then pay. The guy paints. Okay, those are 4. You might go on until 10 jerrycans. Then you'll be like, this guy has my things on site. I've brought many jerrycans. Why? Okay? So yes, it happens. But how do you stop it? Employ someone who is a bit more qualified. And you have to know. You have to make research. Most Ugandans, because the other person has built the other house, they also want to use that same person to come and build this house. Which is wrong. It is so wrong.
Why is that wrong? I
have to be recommended to you. I know that you're a software engineer, but I know other software engineers.
Yeah.
Why is it I want to use you to come and do for me things in my house?
But
because I've been recommended.
I see. But in my field, it's actually different. In my field, most people are more interested in what you've done before. If I'm hiring you to build for me an app, and you come with a catalog of apps you built before, I'm more likely to hire you than if you come with a catalog of references. To be like, I work for this guy and this guy. They'll be like, no, you show me your work. Because
it's the same thing even in construction.
But you're saying, but that's what people do. That's what you're saying you shouldn't do. If I say the guy has built a nice flat in the corner, I'm like, yeah, this guy should come and build my house too. What's wrong with that?
It is, you've not done that much research. You don't know what is happening there.
I say, okay, yeah.
You totally don't know what has been happening there. It's like going into someone's marriage and tell them, I know your wife has been cheating. Really, do you know her so well?
Yeah.
So you don't know so much, but you have to first inquire. Okay, yeah, you can get someone from around to come and do the work. Let me tell you something. I had a site in Narumonya Estate. We were using the I-sections, I-beams. I-sections are like what they use to construct mainly petrol stations or factories, those gas steel things. And this technology has started being employed by so many Ugandans because it is cheap.
Yeah.
Very cheap actually. It saves you like about 30% of the whole total cost of the construction. So I-sections, we were using I-sections in Narumonya. And I did the foundation. We put up the I-sections, they were standing properly. And the client, she was a lady. Client said that, you know what, Andrew, I think you're expensive. And I'm like, I'm expensive, really? I stay in Naria. I drive to Narumonya every day. That is about fuel of about 30 something. Then I have to eat. But most cases, being a site supervisor, I eat with the people on site. So I eat my portion. That is my saving. No problem, no worries, because those people to love you on site, to respect you,
you have to be one of them.
You have to be one of them. Yeah. But again, later on when the woman said that, you know what, you're expensive, I'm like, okay, get someone else. Me, I've done the foundation. Kabisa, I'm done. She went around Narumunye, she looked for a guy. The guy came to the site and like, hey, Madam Bino Tubi Mani, we know these things. Like, we've done them. The guy was found on, he was constructing a gate, the arch of the gate. They told them, you know what, come around. To turn the case. So the guy told him, instead of, because I don't remember how much I had asked for, but the guy asked for way less. I'm like, fine. I took away my builders, he brought his builders. They started work. They reached the level of, because it was a solid house, they reached a level of slab. While they were casting concrete, it actually collapsed in. That is money.
Yeah.
Okay? One, you've not researched about the guy. You found him doing his arch at the gate. Because he's doing finishes, then he has lied to you. That is money. Two, you want to call back Andrew on site, I'll be like, I cannot come and rectify that mess. You have to finish your mess. Okay? One, I have to check what he did. Okay? Now, it carved in. Some part fell into, some part carved in. So, what they did a jake, lifted it up to a level. It again fell in completely. The guy ran away from the village. They're still looking for him up to now. So my advice is, don't just run away because of costs. You can come and bargain, and because we are not supermarkets. Come and bargain.
I see.
Yes.
So yeah, okay. The other thing that I've always wondered is how the team gets recruited. So like you've mentioned, and I've seen this also many times, where you hire someone and it comes with his own team. What is the process there? How do you go about like hiring those, even to the last man, the guy who actually adds the brick and the mortar? From like hiring, everyone within the chain.
You're asking from the part of the client or me?
No, from you,
me.
the
One, I have, let's say, after campus, we move out and enter the industry just like that. You meet guys who construct. When I'm on the first site, I always look out for who is good at what I want. So I note, you know what? Hey, Salongo, this one knows. Hey, Patrick, this one knows. Hey, who this one knows. You get it? So I know. And I know that, okay, this one is good at tiling. I note you down. This one is good at painting. I note you down. This one is good at machinery work. I note you down. This one is good at finishing. This one is good at windows, doors, fabrication. This one is good at plumbing, like that. Now, also, there are guys that will be recommended to me as well. There's a plumber I know who's good in Nakasero, I'm like, okay, let's go. Because there's so many plumbers in Nakasero. Every hardware literally has a plumber. But then I have to go and talk to you. You know what, you've done plumbing here, and here. They've told me blah, 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 blah. Tell me, what have you done? So the guy tells me, I've done the building of JBK, I've done it. Then I take my time also and go and ask the people managing that building. Does the guy come around? You get it, we take our time and see. But the difference, the problem that clients have, they get the guy who has been doing machinery work to continue with the finishing work. That is totally different. That is totally wrong. In construction, everyone has a specialty. The guy doing finishes, plastering, what is different from the guy just doing the brick. In most cases, the guy is just doing the brickwork. Are learners, most cases. If a guy who's well experienced in doing the brickwork does the actual work, you see that, okay, this guy knows. And I have those guys that that this guy is specifically doing brickwork. He has refused to do finishes. And you pay him highly. Because those guys, I pay them 35,000 per day. And they do work very fast, very neat. You don't even notice that there is a brick kind of deflecting from the line or tilting or whatever. Yeah.
I see.
But I know.
So, okay. So here the plan is basically to grow in the network over time, ideally. One of my buddies built the thing, that construction thing you've been describing. Is actually still building. He hasn't yet finished. With metals instead of, with those bars, iron bars instead of like the beams, the actual beams. I think it's 2 storage. I think it's 2 storage. Yeah. And he's also telling me how much, sort of, when he compares the quotations he got before, plus the, versus the one he has got now, how much he has saved. What I wonder though is, why has that been? Why has it taken so long for Ugandans to sort of take that upon? Is it like more complex to construct that way? Is it?
It is not more complex.
How come most people we know have built this house the way it's built, with what? Those
let me tell you,
concrete beams.
Ugandans, like any other place, like anyone else, Ugandans love to see. Like we have a saying as Baganda, Masogo Muganda Gali Mungalo. People want to see what has actually happened somewhere. Does it stand? Just as the building is made of steel bars. Did you know? But it has stood there for how long? Right now, the NSSF building, part of it is going to be steel bars.
I see. You can do that even for really, really big buildings like that.
Yeah. Very big buildings. The Trade Tower was steel. The USA Trade Tower, it was steel. So, Ugandans just if they see something and they, okay, it is farm, okay, yeah. The first apartments I did, and they were all steel, were in Muyenga. When you go and look at them like this, you will not notice, okay, it is steel I-beams inside. And they've survived all that while. The first structure I did of steel was a bar in Bugolobi. Do you know where Middle East is?
Yeah, I know.
Middle East is, this is the market, the Bugolobi market. But then there was a bar called, what is that bar? Eagle's Nest or something like that.
I think.
But then there was, Middle East has like a hospital. So there's a kind of a restaurant now, which is, people, it cooks, I think, traditional food or something. That whole restaurant is steel bars. There's nothing like columns or concrete work. No, it is just steel bars.
I see.
Yes. So Ugandans have to first see something. And then they're like, okay, it is done. But these things we have studied with them. Engineers even. By the way, the other thing that is making this whole system go slower, the engineering that we studied is not so well practiced outside. How? The steel bars were used in the Sedat building. The Sedat building is a college of technology, engineering, technology, design, and what? I've forgotten, but that's the faculty. There's the former faculty of engineering at Makerere.
Yeah.
All these, that old building has all these kinds of structures that we're talking about. The steelwork is there. But you see, when we are studying, some people maybe don't focus on, where are we studying from? They just sit and go through the class and, but it is there. When you check the old building, the basement, we study in that kind of structure. It is steel, and up it is wood. So the slab on top is sitting on wood.
I see.
But people don't notice. Okay, it is there, but even lecturers also, because I went through that whole building, and lecturers didn't talk about it actually. But it is there. Okay? So Ugandans have to first look at something like, okay, and then there's some bit of marketing. And then also the government has to do something. When a technology is around, let them approve it. Because when you take that technology to, say, for district, if you design a structure like that, the steel building, if you design a structure like that, take it for approval. The engineers at the district or local councils will kind of not.
I agree. I think that's one of the issues.
So they will go back to, they will tell you, design the concrete columns, the beams, the concrete structure. And yet that is cheaper.
Yeah, I see.
But the Ugandan person down wants to live in a house, a decent house, cheap but good and decent. So also the government has to do something. So that is the National Building Review Board. They have to do something, make research, and then they say, okay, let us approve plans according to this and this.
I see.
Yes, we are doing it in a rudimentary way, but they also have to look at the methods that we are using. Why are they viable? Some guy, some village somewhere in this village after Gayaza, Busika somewhere, he did his house. Instead of putting steel bars, he put kalitunsi, eucalyptus, those big logs. He went to Sega, bought the logs, put the logs, and then he cast concrete. He's in a solid house. But when you look at that house, you might think that, okay, this guy, he did a serious house. Kumbe, it is cheap.
I see, yeah.
You get it? Yeah, so I advise, one, the local government, and the Building Review Board, the National Building Review Board, and then the Ministry of Housing also. Not to always think of what the Israelis did for us before,
I see.
What the Indians are doing, the Chinese, and also look at what we are thinking of.
Innovation within.
Yes, innovation within what we are doing.
Yes.
And it has been there before. It's not that we are doing something new. It has been there, only that people don't pay attention to certain things. The way you go to town and someone tells you, find me at Mabedizi Plaza, don't be like, where is Mabedizi Plaza? You get it, But it is there, and it is cheap.
I see. So yeah, the other thing also about what certification. The few people I know who are engineers find that process. First of all, most of them say it's useless. Others say it's frustrating. Not certification. What's the word? Being part of the association. I think it's
being part of UIP, the Uganda.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah. Yeah. So that's one question. What are your thoughts there? Is it something that can be improved? Is it also needed? So, for example, in my field, when you get actually you don't have to get your degree. When you build your first app, you change your LinkedIn tag to software engineer. And you start getting jobs. There's no certification needed after that.
Yeah. Now, before it was really cumbersome. It was really stressing. It was really, which other word can I use? These guys were stressed. Before Allen Kajina became the ED, Uganda National Roads Authority, UNRA. These guys were more of getting everything so hard for people to be certified as engineers. Because we have ERB, that is Engineers Review Board, and then the UIPE. The UIPE is the one I think that sets the exam then for the other. So it is very important to register as an engineer. Very important. It is actually good. One, you make good money out of it.
Okay. How does that work?
Because most of the jobs now that are coming in from government, you have to be registered.
You need
so you need to have that stamp, the red stamp. And then secondly, out here also people, now that the construction industry is going on and on and on, like it's coming from the embryo stage, people are getting to know, okay, this and this and this is done like this in the industry. You also need to get to know what is being done on ground, because clients are looking for registered engineers as well. Okay, so it is always good to register.
Okay,
it is always good to register. And then, yes, people might be registered as engineers, but not doing a good job, because registration doesn't guarantee that you're going to be the perfect guy. Okay, people are on site, but being supervised by guys that are not registered. UNRA, it is funny. UNRA, the days when Allen Kajin had just had civil engineers, but they were not registered. And UNRA does not construct roads. It is like a supervision body.
I see. Okay.
Supervising contractors
who do the construction.
Who do the actual construction. But they require contractors to actually have registered engineers as part of their team. Now, UNRA was supervising engineers or contractors that are not registered. No, that are registered.
Yeah, when for them they're not.
When for them they're not. You get it? And there are many. But when Kajina came in, the system changed. Now they are registering so many. Why? Because Kajina broke out that bureaucracy that was there. Now you find young engineers that are registered. Okay? Because contractors were finding it funny. How can you supervise me yet you're not registered?
Yeah, you don't have the certificate. I see.
You see, it is funny. That's why that now UNRA has now registered engineers. Some are not registered, but they are going to be registered. National Water had the same system. Because it was too much of a thing of, I want a registered person to come and do the contract, the government works. But the guys supervising you are not registered.
The guys are not registered.
And then the government also asks for senior structural engineers, senior or maybe water engineers, senior environmentalist, senior whatever. By the time you're called senior, you have to be registered. Okay? Now, these government agencies that have come around, my guy, you have to be registered, yes, but these guys helped us a lot. One, people got jobs. And they supervised actually. They did work, good work. They supervised contractors, which contractors had registered engineers. But they did good work. So the bureaucracy is up here, but it's now dying out. It's phasing out slowly. Yeah.
One of the other things that I see a difference between like any other kind of, I think, profession besides what I do is the lack of literature, right? There are memes on the internet about the difference between, like, if you're applying for a software engineering job, the difference between how hard the interview is versus the actual work. Because most of the time, the interview is so hard, they require you to think about very complex things, but when you actually get the job, most of those things are done and you can just Google them, right? It's the same thing as we do here in this car company. So most of the video editing we do, for example, most of the effects, if you are doing, say, if you're even a wedding, say if you're doing a function for someone, there's someone who has done a wedding before and he has put his work process online, right? So if we are going to prepare, we see like 5 videos, we say we will do this and this and this and this, and just go and execute someone else's plan, basically, right? Same thing with software engineering. Most of the times, someone wants an app, Google has written a document and an example of how a similar app can be done. Maybe WhatsApp was publishing an API and it did an example. Like, you can just go on the internet and get bits and bits from multiple places and build an app that you want to do what you want. But when it comes to construction, the literature is not there. You know, like, for example, in Uganda, imagine if you build a small house, you can write a blog. That's what most software engineers do. A guy builds an app, he writes challenges of building an app that does peer-to-peer communication. And then he writes, basically, just details his plan of how he built his app. And you can do that as well, right? But the beauty of doing that is when you put that knowledge out there, first of all, people know. The same thing with like those steel beams. First of all, people know that there is this approach. Right? People put those reviewers on pressure to actually accept, like the thing you've said about the guy who used the logs, right? If that guy had written about, or maybe he did, maybe I just haven't found it. But if, you know, if there is that literature is accessible, other people know how to cut costs that way. Why is it that, you know, most professions, people don't put a lot of effort there? I know, for example, where I work, there's a department that just encourages engineers to write. A guy texts you every month and be like, hey, do you have an article you want to write, blah, blah, blah. Do you have an article you want to write? Even if you're just writing about how I manage a team of 2 people. They want you to still write that. Yeah.
I think it is, what can I say? It is, charity begins from home. We don't want to read.
That's also true. Yeah, that's also true.
We don't want to read. Yes, people write. Actually, people write many journals. There are journals. Many. If you can just put steel bars, you find so many Ugandans writing about that. People write. It's just that we don't want to read.
I see.
People don't want to being told that, okay, read something, this and this. Because me, when I wake up in the morning, I look at my phone. First thing, social media, Twitter, what. Then when it comes, if I'm not busy, when it is about after 1 hour maybe, I'll read, because I have a Bible on phone, so a thing will pop up. Poop. Then I just read that thing that has popped up. Then I read about maybe Psalms, maybe John, what, finish. And then I look at, because I have a master's in public infrastructure management, so I always look at for books that are about infrastructure. Strictly books about infrastructure. And I will refer to that because I'm more interested in infrastructure. How has it been done somewhere? How has it been done in Uganda? That if I look at now, because now currently Egypt has a very infrastructure development plan that I don't think there's an African country that has done. Maybe Algeria, because I've looked at Algeria, and maybe South Africa. Algeria, Morocco, South Africa. But Egypt is doing a huge thing. So when I wake up in the morning, my research is in markets. Like, why is after construction of one Degia market, people were saying this market does not work. This market, people come work and then go like that. And then these roadside markets. If you move along Gayaza Road towards the former vice president's residence, opposite is a market. But she built for them a very good structure, just a few meters away from where they are working from, those ladies. Why is that people don't shift from where this one is to that one? Okay? Don't you ask yourself that?
Yeah.
So that is my research area.
Good point. Yeah.
That's my research area.
I see.
Why is that people actually in one Degia market come into work, but they, after paying those 3 months of rent, move out. Okay? And then they say, it is not, the market does not work. So my mind is always there. Like, why is that people don't appreciate the infrastructure the government has done, even if it is poor or whatever, but why don't they appreciate that small bit to utilize it? So there's something wrong. Okay, one, it might be a design of the market. Two, it might be people are used to midaras of nyanya, putting your midaras down, because the one day market, the stalls are up. Tomatoes, they're up. And then down it is just butchers, maybe few stalls of matoke, there's chicken, whatever, TV chicken the side, and then the shops. So people are used to that system down. They're not used to the market of. But then I refer you to the Kumasi market in Ghana. It is the best market I've seen.
But have you been to the Gulu market though?
Yeah. I've been there. I've been there. These markets, especially those markets that were done with the national, the NDP one. No, it is Matip one. That is a program, Matip one. So Matip one had one degia, it had ginger, it had mbale, it had I think Gulu was part of Matip one.
Is it Soroti? I know Soroti also has a
No, Soroti was not Matip 1. Soroti is Matip 2. Which other market? I think it is Guru. And then maybe the one in Fort Porto. As you enter Fort Porto, there's a market here. Mpang, I think it is called Mpang. So those markets, it was meant to be the same mode of design. They transfer one Degia market, the same knowledge, the same design, to Ginger market, to Mbale, but those markets failed to work. The first time vendors entered the markets, they actually failed to work totally. Why? People were looking, one, the number of vendors increased. There was a lot of politics. I'm the one managing this. Blah, 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 blah. People are used to putting their tomatoes down, matoke down, their clothes down, and they sell. But now the government brings in a system of, no, you have to be enclosed somewhere. But the people, the problem that the government did was not consulting the actual vendors. Yes, they did the consultations, but they were not involving them to come on board. The government, especially now for one day, because I can speak for one day, because I know way much about one day. I used to work with Yita Jonathan, the former chairman, one day market. They were using only the committee, the managing part of the market. They will not, the guys that were doing the feasibility study for the market will not come down to the vendors to really know what they want.
Exactly. How would I improve your situation?
Yes. And actually, after my research, I found out that they were basing the research more of the chairman. And that the former chairman was this guy who has a beard. Now, I think currently he's the chairman one day, a village.
I don't think
that marketed a village somewhere there. Right now, they were basing on that guy. He has had some escapades also. He has bought stalls, sold them to many people. They've taken him to Zira, come out, like that. So, I was saying about research. Yes. So the research is, why should vendors move away from a market that has been built, spend so many millions, to still want to work outside? Even when you go to one day, during the days, the hours when, say, students are going back to campus because the market is next to them, to Makerere, people, those vendors bring out, they ask for that space in front of the market for parking. And they actually sell from there. It's like a bazaar outside the market. But the bazaar is supposed to be in the campus.
Inside the thing,
So why? It's because they need to tell campusers that, you know what, this is the market, come inside. But they are marketing their things outside.
I see.
You get it? So Ugandans, one, they need to see something that is practical. The market that is very, very practical in Uganda is the Busega market. but it has not. African Development Bank gave us money. It did its part. The government of Uganda is now lacking that part. They should do their part of finishing the market, and people enter the market and work from there. Busega would be very better.
I see.
Why? Everything is down, cars park up, not like one day where cars park down, then people have to go up, buy. No.
I see. That's in my field. I think it's not just my field. It's called design thinking, right? It's a whole discipline where you have to sort of design with the user in mind. There is a book I used to read, Designing Everyday Things, and this guy is giving examples of bad doors. So he was writing his book and he went and researched bad doors in buildings. Doors that are so fancy but are very complex to like know how to enter and things like that. And I think that's the same thing. But that also reminds me of like the border crisis we have, right? So if you've been to like Europe, I think even Cape Town, well, I don't know, I don't remember. Okay, but if you've been to Europe, Europe roads, they even have bike lanes where people don't even walk from. Like if you're from Uganda, you just hear those bikes like making noise for you when you walk because you don't know. But they have a lane that is always free, right? If traffic is on one way, you never see, like the other way can be totally empty but accessible, divided by just a line, and you never see anyone trying to use that lane, right? And I think maybe that discipline has come over time. Those civilizations are way older than, say, Uganda's. But the problem I have is when guys here, guys with degrees here, guys in KCCA, get plans from Dutch architects to improve, say, Chisasi Road. Now World Bank is putting those traffic lights there in Tinda, they put in Chisasi. And then we just have a crisis of border guys, and people call it impunity. They say, these border guys don't look at traffic lights. These border guys just cut. But for me, it looks like a design problem. The way the roads are designed, it's like whoever designed them assumed there will be no borders in the what? I don't know like a solution, right? I don't know a solution on top of my head. But I know at least what they've done so far. This thing of copying roads from other cities to bring them in Uganda, that is wrong. That just doesn't, that doesn't work. The alternative would be, like, for example, when it comes to lights in Chisasi, they've just put new ones in Chisasi down here. In the morning. So I think that they're experimenting. They're maybe trying to see to get what synchronization of those lights work. So in the morning, they switch them on. I usually walk from around 6:30 a.m. Walk for about maybe 8 kilometers. So I pass those lights. If they're on, I pass in Kulambiro side. If they're on, traffic starts from the Malcolm in Kulambiro, not this Malcolm down here. The Malcolm in Kulambiro, traffic goes by those lights. If they're not on and everyone is doing the taxi thing, bluffing and going, it's clear.
Traffic is okay.
It is clear. So they usually switch them off from like 7 to 10. Jesus. And then those days when the rush hour is done, then they switch them back on because they just don't work. Now you start to imagine, like who plans these things? Do they actually have like their own independent brains?
That thing goes back to a lot. Now, Uganda, the Lantonia system is very funny. First of all, we have a lot of ghost people that own land. Some buy land when they know the project is coming. So I buy next to that plot so that I'm compensated. Our pups are funny. They over hike prices of property if there's a road that is going to be constructed. Now, like that tree, you remember that tree of the Rugabe?
Yeah.
It is funny because they got some guy somewhere. That guy, and they told him that, what, act like, the guy, chairman of the Rugabe. But the Rugabe clan is not there. Because according to me, I'm Sserunjogi, I'm from the Rugabe clan. Maybe there's some other people somewhere. I stand to be corrected, but the Rugabe clan is from Mukono's side of Kayunga side. What is it? No, not Kayunga. What is that place called? But it is this side of Mukono. That's where our
ancestral place is.
Yes. Now we talked of the Rugabe clan has certain.
You guys used to walk that way to see us.
You sound like where that guy did that. But we're talking about these traffic lights.
Yes.
To me, I believe congestion in town comes from a huge problem of non-thinking of Wakiso and Mpigi. Kampala generally has small roads. We call them small roads in rush hours, but there are wider roads on Sunday. Why? That's not the problem. The problem is, it's like, you've heard about jet, the jet physics of like this jet.
I see. I thought the actual plane, but I see. Yeah, high pressure plane.
The high pressure. Now, if in rush hour, if you put water in that spray and you press like this, it comes out from a small. So it comes out. It is sharp and yeah. Now, in rush hour, in the morning, Wakiso roads are smaller. And all what World Bank has done, or what KCC has done, is widen the junctions because they know they're going to cause jam in the rush hours. But the roads feeding the junctions are smaller. And those, after the junctions, they come out wider. Case scenario, Spear Road. The Spear Junction at Lakawa. The road coming from Muntinda, 2 lanes. 2 cars coming this side, 2 cars going. Okay? The road coming from Jinja, it is not even marked properly. But there's supposed to be, say, 2-lane car. But as you're coming from Jinja Road coming towards Shell, Nakawa, it kind of narrows. Then you go past Lugogo, it widens. As you're entering town, the Airtel roundabout, it narrows. You get it? So, if you look at Kawempe, the road coming from Kawempe, it's a 1-lane road. 1 car coming from town, 1 car going to town. But during rush hour, there are so many people that are coming from Wakiso, coming into town. I see. Okay? So when you reach that junction of Bwaise,
it becomes a real bottleneck.
It becomes a bottleneck. You get it? So there are 2 cars going to Bwaise, Sapporo, and then 2 cars coming to Wandegia. So those 2 cars have been coming 1-1 like this. So imagine now it is like this. So it's going to cause jam because everyone is fighting to enter. You get it? So even rush hour, now everyone is in town. We are working. Evening time, everyone is coming back from work. There are so many cars coming from town. We are again coming to cause another bottleneck at that place, the junction. Bwaise, because the road going into Wakiso, they are small. You get it?
Yeah.
So in order to fix the traffic jam, in my theory, in order to fix the traffic jam of Kampala, let us solve problems of Wakiso. Actually, all infrastructure.
I see.
There will be no people working in town if Wakiso is much better, or if Mpigi is much better. Because people come to Kampala, 1, for administration purposes. They're meeting the minister, they're meeting this ministry, okay? People are coming from Mpigi to work in Kampala. People are coming from Jinja to work in Kampala. There's a parent I know who had kids in Jinja, and they used to study from Kaboja Junior School. That is Acacia. The kids would wake up at around 4, go in the car, sleep. They drive them from Jinja to Kampala. By 7 sharp, they are in Kaboja Acacia. They dress up in the car, in the parking, and they go to school. Now that is the mentality we have in Uganda. Everyone has to wants to work in town. But if you fix problems of Wakiso, widen the roads of Wakiso. Make some ministries go somewhere.
Yeah.
In Mpigi, in where. So, not everyone who comes for a national ID has to come to Kololo. Why? That is causing jam.
I see.
So the only problem is, yes, we have the borders, there are many. But even borders are transporting people to come to town. You get it? So that's why we have all these border parkings around buildings in town. But all those guys are waiting. There will be no business in town if most of the work was in Wakiso. Every personnel working in town literally lives in Wakiso. And Wakiso has a low budget.
I see.
KCCA has a higher budget. Yes, it is very hard to maintain the city. But the reason why it is hard to maintain the city is because
of everything.
It's centered there. So fix Wakiso and PG problems, you fix Kampala
that's
problems.
a good idea. So it's not basically an engineering problem. It's more of a public planning problem.
It is just planning problem. Because when you go to east, you move to east, Tirinyi Road. You go to Tirinyi town. There is a road for highway, but then there are other roads on the sides for those cars. You go to Iganga, it is there's a road for highway, like the highway, going to Mbale, 2 cars coming, 2 cars going. And then there's an extra road
On the side for people.
for those people who are using those small taxis and what, to go wherever they're going. Okay? If you go to Fort Portal, it is the same thing. 2 cars going, 2 cars. If you go to Entebbe, it is the same thing also in Entebbe, I think. There are 2 cars going, 2 cars. But then there are those other roads on the side. So that other side road would be used as maybe bodas, what? So why wasn't it done in Uganda? In Kampala. Kampala would be better.
No, that's a good idea. Actually, now that I think about it, so the plan can be as what? Hiking the taxes of like renting in Kampala, renting a business in Kampala.
No.
Most NGOs.
Hiking taxes will be useless. Kampala is a business center.
So, okay, here's the thing, right? For example, if for an NGO to rent to rent a building, right? Maybe NGOs and but let's say these visa things. Those things also take a lot of traffic. Yeah. If they incentivize them by making it extremely expensive to rent within the Kampala area, but way cheaper or even free to rent, like put your embassy in what? In Wakiso, or rather in PG actually. So people have to drive like say an hour to come to you, but then they're not coming to town because there's also that people are going to Dubai. Then in a day, say if you have 100 people going to Dubai, that's like 100 people just coming to Kampala to just get a visa and go back. They maybe 2 days. Submit their passport and the second day to come to Kampala. Yet that doesn't have to be in Kampala. There is no reason that has to be in Kampala at all, right?
It's still it goes back to my theory.
One,
because an embassy will come and rent in Kampala because it is secure. Kampala is more secure than if you go to Wakiso.
I see.
You will come to Kampala to shop, to maybe buy, because in Kampala normally there are people that buy but wholesale. You go to Chikugo, buy so many things wholesale, and then you go to Wakiso, sell at retail price. Okay? But now the challenge that is coming to Wakiso is what they've called it horizontal urban. It is mass residential development. You get it? Why? Because everyone wants to buy a plot of 50 by 100. Build my residential house. 50 by what? Build my residential house. What Wakiso is doing, which I find good, is telling all those guys next to roads, highways. One, you don't have to build a residential house next to a highway. Say you're going to, because Wakiso surrounds the whole of Kampala, right? Yeah. So you're going to Bukomero, Nansana. Nansana is so congested. And Nansana, why is it so congested? In front is shops, behind people sleep in those actual houses, those single rooms. That's why you find because
so it's commercial and residential.
It is commercial and residential. Literally, people work in their compounds. A kid grows up from the back, but plays from the front but it's highway. So they've told all those people, please develop a commercial structure, so that people sleep in those residential buildings. Why? Because it first brings you property taxes. Has the local district. Then 2, everyone has a house to sleep in, cheaper. 3, there's a reduction in services need, like collection of rubbish, construction of feeder roads, water. 2, Nansana has, it's kind of, I don't want to call it a slum, but yes, it is a ghetto kind of, not ghetto, but a slum kind of thing, development. I'm going to specifically think of Nansana or talk about Nansana. You imagine one house sitting on 40 by 40. That is in feet, 40 by 40 feet.
Yeah.
And that house is required, 1, to have a septic tank. 2, now that is a municipality, then they were required to have a VIP, but now that is a municipality, they are not required to have a VIP outside. Stained toilets.
What's a VIP?
Ventilated.
Toilet. Yes.
Pit latrine.
Yeah, pit latrine. Yeah.
Yeah, so those stains VIPs are not allowed in municipalities of late, I hear. So now they've gone for toilets. So every literally must have a septic tank. Okay? Some are implementing, some are not doing it. Now imagine there's an earthquake. What if, just imagine, it can't happen because, God forbid, but just imagine there's an earthquake in Wakiso. And the surrounding houses, all of them have septic tanks. That earthquake is going to shake the walls of the septic tank down and it will burst up. So literally, you'll have a lot of sludge up. The fecal sludge, it's all going to come up. All the manholes will burst up. Now, if you have 100 houses on, say, an acre, that is disaster.
It's fireworks of
fireworks of poop on top. I can't call it poop because now it's so basically. But now, I'm imagining if everyone constructed a high-rise building. Okay, I wish we have such investors who would come and say, I want to buy, say, a square mile, or I want to buy half a mile, or I want to buy, say, 5 acres in Nansana. And then they calculate how many people are on those 5 acres. And then they say, we're going to construct high-rise buildings of about 6 floors with an elevator. All those people own a condominium kind of land title. Because everyone literally in Uganda wants to own his own land. We still have that mentality. I want to own my own building, my own, like that. And if those buildings, all those buildings were raised up, we would have so many people living up stairs, and this land is left free for circulation. Because when you go to some areas, you would know that, okay, my neighbor is cooking pork, the other person is cooking fish, the other person is cooking wild. You would know that, okay, this person they are this dirty. Because everything that comes from that household is actually going down to the trench. That's why you see there's blockage. You understand? And all those people in Nansana are going again, coming back to the bit of congestion. They will come and want to work. But imagine you put up a referral hospital in Wakiso. Will people come to Mulago?
Yeah, so no, that's actually a good point. Moving services, I think that's like a valid point.
Secondly, let the government improve on the public transport.
How?
You've come here driving.
Yes.
I've used a border B.
Yeah.
Let's say even the people here in the studio have also been driving. Everyone has used, like, how many? 1, 2, 3, like 6 cars, 5 cars.
Yeah.
But all those 5 cars are going to consume space of 1 car, like 2.5 by 5 meters. Okay? 2.5 by 5 meters.
Yeah.
Now 5 meters times 5 cars, that is 25 meters.
No, I know the problem.
So
what?
If everyone sits in a taxi of very well spaced,
how would you improve public transport? I think this they've tried.
No. They are trying to bring Kira EV to manufacture
They did
buses.
after a while and it still refused.
Do you know that we have Manta? metropolitan.
Exactly. If it's there and it has refused, what can
It is not working. Why is it not working?
Because there is no business case. Also, that's
The policies are poor. The policies are poor to implement. That thing has better policies, but to implement them, poor. People just implement things and they stay on the desk. Okay. But if you go to Nairobi, a matatu comes for you from, say, where is this place? Malaba. These vehicles, these basically taxis, what are they called? Drones. Instead of putting 14 passengers, they kill the middle seat and actually space so that people sit comfortably and don't sit. Do you remember when we used to sit in a taxi during the COVID times, the lockdown? You sit one person here, then the other person on the side, and then people drive you. You sit comfortably. This guy doesn't smell for you the way these corporate guys. Those guys who sit in taxis smell, have a certain scent. I don't like deodorants. What are the perfumes? No, you have space, good aeration. Okay.
I don't think that will make people who don't board taxis. It's a, what do they call it? Class signaling. Yeah. I'll be honest, I've agreed that I know how people used to sit in COVID, but the last time I used the taxi was a very long time ago. Right. Because first of all, the cost of using a boarder instead is okay for me. The difference is not significant, right? A boarder versus a taxi. But also I feel like a taxi, I'm going back.
No, you're not going to sit in the taxi.
I'm saying for me, right? And my assumption is I'm also speaking for a good number of people. It's important for most people in Uganda. It's just a way of signaling. You know, what if I'm coming out of the taxi and the other chick I was talking to in the bus is me? Right? No, that's a real thing. That's a real thing. The issue with private, the way they can improve, okay, in my opinion, right? The issue of like improving public transport, that is harder. The first idea you suggested of instead decongesting, removing reason to come to Kampala. Right? You know, even these industries, there is no reason why we have an industrial park in Nakawa. You know, even moving that stuff to those outskirts, I feel like that is more realistic than trying to tell people we are going to make poverty look better by making you comfortable in a taxi. People are not going to allow that because most people, you don't have to be rich. I'm not saying people are poor who get in taxis. You don't have to be rich. But as long as you want people to think that you're rich, you have to portray certain lifestyle. That is just the nature of society. You have to hire psychologists to fix that.
Black life.
But that is just the nature of society. So for that, I don't know. I really doubt. But yeah, I mean, that idea, I think we can. If you know, like there are many things they can do. I even don't know why they're not. It seems so obvious. I wonder why they're not.
There are buses being manufactured by, I think, Raivi, or I saw it. I don't know if it is going to. They are going to import them, but those buses are long enough. My problem is how are they going to work in Kampala? But they'll be driven well.
Yeah, but buses can only work if you chase out taxis.
Yeah, the thing is, there's a guy who owns 14 taxis. Another guy owns 20. The other guy owns 100.
Yeah.
Okay? The government should do like this. Sell your 100 taxis. How much is that? Maybe if each taxi is going to cost like 50 M, 100, that is about what? 500 or 5,000? Milli. You get it, If 5,000, that is 5 billion, isn't it? If 5 billion can't buy you 4 buses or 2 buses to carry those passengers, and then sell your buses, sell your taxis, let the government add you some money to buy those 2 buses that you want, so that you are the owner of those 2 buses. Because each taxi is going to occupy space of about 6 meters. That is about 2.5 by 6. You get it, And remember, you have to open the door for this person. So that is about 3 meters by 6. That is 18 square meters. On the road.
I think that's a good point.
You get it, So instead of me working so hard and then I buy a second-hand taxi so that it can operate along Ntinda Chisasi, No way. Let all those guys come together. I know blacks, it is very hard for us to work as a partnership, but partnerships, I think, are better. Yeah. I believe in communism. I don't know.
Yeah, no, communism doesn't work. Partnerships work, but communism doesn't work.
Anyway, so partnerships.
Yeah.
If partnerships can be made, but with also help of government, this thing can work. Why is it that this guy who died, is it Katongole, the former Itoda guy, Haj Katongole, he left so many taxes, I hear. Sell all those taxes. Let Katongole begin his own work.
I see. Even actually, they don't even have to sell. If it's a 10-year plan, they just have to refuse importing of or registering new taxis for what? For commercial purposes.
For commercial purposes.
I think that alone phases them out because they don't have a very long life.
With the politics in Uganda, because even our politicians own the taxis.
And that's a problem now. That's a people thing. It's not.
Yeah, but truth be told, we need to work on ourselves, how one will behave.
Those things don't change. Those things, we have to stop border guys from disrespecting lights. No, those things, those don't work. We have to change lights. We can't change. It's easier to change the lights than change border guys.
No, the lights. The problem I have with the lights, if you go to Acacia, there are so many lights. Literally every junction has a light.
Yeah, I feel like those guys are trying to spend the money. Guys,
there are so many lights.
There
are so many lights. But those lights act in a very funny way. Because if the lights at the junction of Fairway Hotel light red or amber or green, the light at the Karoja Junior School should also light amber when this one as what is lighting amber. You cannot tell a section of cars to move, yet these ones have told them to stop.
So the
programming, that's where you guys
but the programming I think is not the problem. The thing is, those are like you see that Acacia Road, right? The cars that jump off, say to go into Kololo or to go down this way, those cars can block the road because there's jam that side. So if a green light comes, I know most cities in San Francisco, the lights have some either AI or like a rail operator during rush hour. They have like a rail operator who decides the same way police guys stand on that Spear Junction, who decides that let this lane go, let that lane go because it's what makes sense at that point. And I think in China, and I was in Malaysia once also, but I thought people told me that those lights will only free you depending on the what? On the traffic. So if you're, actually that happened. If you're on the road, for example, you want to cross, because also in those places, even the pedestrian has to respect the lights, right? If you want to cross, and you don't press that thing on the thing to tell the lights that I'm actually here, the lights will keep allowing which line has less traffic, or rather has more traffic to flow. Yeah, here in Uganda, those lights, I think these Indian guys just install them. They come, they install, they supervise them for like a month and come up with a program.
No, there are sensors on those lights. Those lights release cars depending on the volume.
No. That I don't believe at all.
Uniform officers said it.
No. If they've said
there are
sensors.
There are sensors on the 1 gear lights. There are sensors. Yes, there are sensors. Even Acacia.
Now 1 gear lights. When it's rush hour, they are useless. The police guys have to come and.
So are you saying that instead of KCCA, because KCCA has traffic guys also on the road, why shouldn't we do that job?
Maybe they should. But for me, the thing I figured, so that spear thing. You see the spear thing, where it works. They block the police guys block the guys for a long time. They can block you for like what?
If you're coming from
8 minutes. Yeah, if you're coming from Tinder, they let obvious Ginger Road to run, which, okay, when you're coming from Tinder, obviously frustrating. But it makes sense if you think about the big picture, right? And Tinder and the guys coming from Buya.
Chinawata.
Yeah, it makes sense. But instead of like having a police guy there, they should install those guy things. I've also seen them in TikTok videos. Those guy things that come up when the light goes red. the road is blocked. Like no one.
My guy, our siren guys will be having accidents each and
You know those things. The thing about what people don't understand is when that thing knocks 3 people and people see it on social media and what, they will never cross again. We just need to sacrifice the first 2. People will never cross again. Even this other thing. In the US, for example, if you knock someone, if you crash into someone who is running a red light, they pay for everything. It doesn't matter how bad they're damaged, right? Even if they had an emergency. If they put that rule for borders and they knock 5 on those traffic lights, those guys will get in line. At least for the traffic lights, they will get in line. But the problem, okay, that's a very high price for getting lights fixed. But that thing of popping up, that one I know for sure it will work.
Because if you bring some scare into the people, okay, yeah.
Because then people will know, hey,
KCC has gone ahead to paint those grids.
I thought those were for, okay, I also thought they were for the lights, programming the lights. If they have sensors, then they can tell if someone is stepping on them.
I mean these grids that are the yellow grids in the
that's what I'm saying.
Those grids should, it is a no parking zone or
stopping. Oh, yeah, so, okay. In some countries, the lights can tell even if you step on the white line, right? So that's offensive. And in Japan, for example, there's no traffic guy. The lights will take your number plate and they'll just email you the traffic receipt. And if you don't pay it, that's when they start following up to take you to court, for example. So most of those lines are for cameras. If you program the camera, for example, to see those lines, whenever the camera is not seeing the actual grid, it knows there's what? An obstacle. So then it knows, say, there's a car that's not supposed to be there. That's what I thought they were for. I'm not sure though, but that was my assumption.
I don't know so much. I don't know so much about that.
Yeah, but the thing of depopulating the city, I think that could work.
Depopulating the city, trust me.
I should start my major campaign.
Fix problems of Mukono. You said you stayed in
Mukono. But Mukono is also congested. I built there, but I couldn't.
It is congested.
Mukono is also congested. They should start from that.
No, why Mukono is congested? Like I've told you, in Uganda now we have mass residential development. It is not mass commercial development. Yeah. What they've done is gone ahead to develop urban. They've redesigned the urban centers, but they are mapping them out instead. They say, okay, they come and they do like this. We've mapped out this part, saying Tinder, blah, 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 is going to be commercial. So all houses there whoever is building there should build something commercial, not residential. But yes, the policies are nice, they're attracting, but implementing. I've designed a house and with my architect. It was an apartment in it is in Kasangati Town Council. It's in Manyangwa, where that junior school is. I've forgotten the name. I think it's St. Joan or whatever. So when I went to pick the plan for after it was approved, they told me you have to look around the houses around you. If you find that all the houses around you are painted gray, you also have to paint yours gray. If you find that the neighbors around you have roofed with clay roofing tiles, you have to buy those clay roofing tiles and roof like that. Okay? And I'm happy about that because it is going to bring some bit of beauty. Yes, authentic. Yeah, it is there. Okay? But implementing Ugandan policies, that is where
but you know, okay. So there I think we disagree totally. You know what makes Kampala beautiful also? Is that
lifestyle of free
there's that movie Pen of Katwe.
Yeah.
The way the costume designers did it, where you see these girls in the ghetto wearing like, you know, what would be party dresses, those second-hand clothes that are so bright. Okay, it's a little bit exaggerated, but it shows Kampala. Like a green house is next to a black house next to it. There's a thing about Kampala from there. Okay, from
just We have a Ugandan flag. Our Ugandan flag with many colors.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's scary when you go to Asia, especially, right? And you see everything in so much order and feels like it's not humans who live here. It's like people are robots in some way, they've been programmed so much compared to like that chaotic way of me, I want my thing, I don't care about other people.
That is wrong.
No. I prefer that. I prefer that. It's sort of
Yes, it is wrong.
It reduces even mentally, it reduces your ability to conform. If there is a way to do, if you grow up like in, say, a typical Asian estate, everyone goes to the shop at this time. Everyone sort of, there's a standard kind of food, there's a standard kind of way to drive. The houses look the same way. Usually, you grow up.
It is boring.
It's boring, and it's even as a person, you grow up and it crushes your creativity. You don't come up to express yourself originally. You usually want to express yourself within.
But how come Japan is more innovative? You think about that.
It's old, but also that's the thing. It's not like that's the thing people say. This is the thing. I've been to San Francisco and I've worked a lot with American companies. But I'm going to tell you, when people compare Kampala or Uganda innovation to San Francisco, and people say, "Oh, San Francisco is innovative. They have Steve Jobs." Those people are stupid. If you gave let me be honest with you. If you gave one guy in Kampala, let's say okay, San Francisco, they're about say 100,000 people in San Francisco who have access to say $5 million if they wanted to start something. You want to start a camera that takes pictures backwards, some guy is willing to give you $5 million. You want to start a thing that gets water from poop, Bill Gates was doing that. Some guy is going to give you $5 million. If that money was here in Uganda,
people will be
people will be working in air. That business ship, people would have made it. In Uganda, there is just not enough. You don't have, the thing about innovation is you have to have that flow. If you fail, you don't land so much down. That is what's in most of those, Japan, San Francisco, is this guy of WeWork. There's that show we crashed. There's that show on, I think it's Apple TV, a series about the guy of WeWork in San Francisco. The guy raised 4.4 billion. Like going to a bank, the bank gives you a check, 4.4 billion. You've never turned a profit. That doesn't happen anywhere else. In Africa, that doesn't happen. 4.4 billion here in Africa, the guy overthrows Museveni the next day. There's no,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and people keep saying that's innovation. People just have a lot of money to play. They have a lot of money to play. If you play a lot, obviously something good is going to come up.
Ugandans think a lot, eh?
Yeah, people think.
Yeah, we think a lot, only that,
like scaling also. If some people have ideas, they do them for their village and then they stop there because the amount to scale them doesn't exist.
Speaking about innovation, I just want to think of how to make something better.
Yeah,
like, how do you improve my life? Like, I'm this guy. I'm a Rotarian, Rotary Club of Nigeria. I'm this guy who I want to think like you, but I also want you to think like me. I'm not going to force you to think like me, but I always ask myself, why do I think different from you? If you tell me something, I have to go and think about it. Seriously, is it viable? Is what you've told me true?
Yeah.
You understand it? So I always think of your answers and your questions. I'm like, why do people want to first look at where I stay and then the other neighbor, Tafayo, Vali Denkoko, Watali Denkoko? You get it, eh? Because it is my stomach. The other person, I really don't mind. Okay? Now in Rotary, it is service above self. I take care of that person. I don't want that person to shoot me while I'm in my gate. My neighbors have to be gated as well before they come for me.
I see.
You get it, eh? No, I shouldn't have... We shouldn't have a Naguru that is well built, well planned. And then there's a slum Naguru. Just yourself why Muyenga has a Bukenya zone. People think Muyenga is all build houses, nice houses, what. But there is Bukasavu Kenya zone. That is their ghetto. And their thieves come from that side. So why should I have a Bukenya zone next to me, yet I stay in Muyenga? For me, that is the wrong structuring of life. It's like apartheid on my side. As in, that is wrong. It is totally wrong. Okay, yes, I know, naturally, we are supposed to have that kind of committees. People have to be rich, others have to be poor. But can we also plan for the poor properly, sincerely? Why should we have public sewers only in Kampala town and not in Wakiso?
I see. So okay. One thing, right? If there is a way, I could guarantee, if I'd say the money Bill Gates has, and I could guarantee that everyone is entitled to a meal, at least 2 meals, okay, maybe 1 meal. 1 meal is okay. Everyone is entitled to 1 meal a day, whether you've worked or not. If you get sick, if it's not sickness from carelessness. If you have, say, gonorrhea, you look for your own money to what? to
treat yourself.
To treat yourself, yeah. But if you get sick from malaria, for example, if you get sick from, diabetes, or maybe even not that, but yeah, there are some diseases where you probably don't have a lot of control. There is what? Free healthcare for you, right? If clothes, you have basic clothes. It doesn't have to be, and for clothes, it doesn't even have to be expensive. You can wear a shirt and a trouser and a pair of shoes, at least, maintainably every day. If that is guaranteed, then I don't care about the rest of the inequality. The thing for me that bothers me about inequality is if there is a guy out there who is dying of malaria and another guy out there in the same world sitting on $1 billion. Like, for me, that doesn't make sense at all. But if that could be solved, I feel like also this thing of I used to be a big fan of sort of Bill Gates. I thought if I become rich, I'll probably become like Bill Gates. Try to be that philanthropy stuff and try to solve the world's problem. But, this COVID thing has got me to think, are these guys really solving the world's problems, right? Or they're just sort of trying to create their own hierarchy. And I have conspiracy theories in my head as well. But if there is a way you could do that, what he's doing with polio, for example, eradicate an entire disease, but also make sure people can eat. Like, that is important. Make sure people have, food, posho, beans, at least daily. If I wake up today and I haven't worked and I don't know where to start, I can go to like a village thing in Chanja, and they give me my plate of posho that I'm entitled to, and a plate of beans, or like cowpeas, and I sit and I eat. If that is guaranteed, then, like, if one guy decides to make $1 trillion in 1 year while others just eat posho and beans, I feel like that's okay. The thing about the imbalance, that indifference, it's mostly output thing, right? Okay, this, I think, the argument that Elon Musk also says, has, right? If Kanye West, for example, right? If a person puts in the work rate Kanye West puts in, right? If a person puts in that work rate, you cannot expect that guy to live in the same house as me. Like, I agree there. I don't work hard enough to have as much as what? As a person who works as hard as that, right? So there I understand. But what would bother me, no matter how much hard work you put in, is if I can't afford even a meal, right? The people who are homeless, for example, in San Francisco, and they just, what's the word? Impeached their attorney general. Because of there's a homeless crisis in San Francisco, right? But San Francisco also produces, I don't know if it still does, but at least maybe 5 years ago, it used to produce the highest number of billionaires in the world, right? But the homeless crisis thing is a lot of people, like, a guy shits here on the street and he sleeps here. That is how bad, like, really, really bad. Really, really bad. That, I feel like that is...
But that's why those guys are suffering from COVID a lot. They're naturally dirty.
I doubt. I think...
don't you think whites are naturally dirty?
I don't know, to be honest. I can't.
I have some doctor friends in UK, and they tell me those guys are naturally dirty.
I can't. I mean, you can't say whites. I know white people who are very clean.
Of course, there are those that are young, very but they're naturally dirty.
Anyway, but that's for me my problem with inequality as like a conversation. Yeah, communism, I think we tried that. The problem with communism is we are humans. I'm going to want something. You see, I'm going to, I would want to go to Mars. Yeah, and that is like what I want. Me, I don't want to eat posho. I can starve for 5 days as long as my plan to going to Mars is straightforward, right? But if in my efforts to go to Mars while you're eating every day, I figure out a thing that can, say change how we cook food forever. I don't want you to share on my results if in my effort we didn't share. Like that doesn't make sense. No. Like the output can't. If we are putting out different outputs, we cannot. Rather, if we are putting out different effort, right? We cannot expect equal output. It's just impossible. There are people who are lazy. But you've been in Uganda,
Of course, yes.
Yeah, there are people who wake up to drink. You give him a job. He works 2 days. Then he's like, man, I hate that boss because the boss told him once, come on time, right? That guy does not deserve to drive a Benz. That is just a fact. That guy deserves to sit in his village, eat portion beans and drink. That is okay. If he can eat.
Of course, I mean, the world is funny. Chinese are communists, right?
Nah. So Chinese, they call themselves the party is called the Communist Party, but it's capitalism. Obviously, you don't own land, but you can own a business. You can accumulate capital. You can become a billionaire in China.
So why not here? I mean,
yeah. Okay, so here the conversation also goes to colonialism.
Yeah,
and my assumption is a significant part of Africans are alive today because we are okay. So, for example, in Uganda, right, there is actual incentive for the government to keep you poor, all right, so that it can use you as a bargaining chip against like Western interests, right? So, what the thing is, what the Americans did in Libya, right? If they try to do that with Sevo, this is what I think would happen. Sevo is going to get out guns and he's going to shoot people on the stuff they did in November, that Bobby Wine thing. I feel like they can do that at scale if they're threatened. So basically for us living here, we are like hostages. You know how the guy comes in pay bank and is like, if you don't bring the money, that is what we are. Anytime the guy gets threatened, just finds this guy and is like, pa. You go as a case study, so the other guys can be scared. That is what I feel we are in Africa, and the problem with that obviously is these guys are also not given those opportunities. So if you look at like the big picture, right? If you look at companies that would allow, say, Museveni to buy into, those are not many. The guys are painted with like a dictator, what, and so the same thing that happened to Russia, right? Anytime the investments can be invalidated by the guy who prints the money. So we are like sort of, it's colonialism just in like multiple layers, right? Even the guys who we think are the best in our place, they're just like the cartoons. They have us. It's like what's it like? If you go to your school and you're the best footballer, right? But you know for sure that there are people actually who play in like a league, in a major league, people in Premier League. You can be flossing on your bad days. Hey, you guys don't know football. But you know for sure in the grand scale of things, you can't play for the worst team in Premier League. That is what our guys are, our several guys are also. That's what I think. And so in the end, we just have to be there like victims. We are like victims of circumstance in that.
Circumstances.
Yeah. But
so to Chakora.
Yeah, it's a world we live in. It's a world
we should stay like that.
It's a world we live in. It's a world we live in. There's nothing much to do. Andrew, I think we've had the conversation. Thanks a lot for accepting our invite. Yeah, this has been interesting. Thank you.